and bringing us to 10:06 p.m., a time when some would say we are about to discuss the unthinkable. Yes, indeed. It is time for us to get on the couch. And I can tell you, if you're with me, Coach Mayzy is here and he is just about ready. I also have a special shout out to the man who makes the streams possible, the man who makes it work such that you can join us on Facebook and YouTube if you're tuning in right now. Yes, the man who sits behind the scenes and makes it work, Agbenga Adegboyega, also here with me behind the scenes on the night show. Thank you so much, Benga, for coming through even at this hour and staying up until we have dealt with the matter decisively. All right. Let's bring Coach Mayzy on, shall we? Good evening. Shout out to you, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. All right. So, people, I've given you a bit of a teaser, but just in case you are just joining in, let me bring you up to speed again. Coach Mayzy and I have been discussing something that perhaps you don't hear discussed often on radio. It started with a clip of a certain young man that made waves about a month ago or so. He was speaking to a number of things. He started with accountability, right, in a relationship and who should be accountable to who. And in the process of making his point, he spoke to gender roles. And so Coach Mayzy and I started about 3 weeks ago, first of all, trying to understand and break down these gender roles. And we got to the point where it's like, okay, some people are traditional, some people are more modern in their take on these things. And so it's okay. Whichever one you decide to do, just make sure that you understand what you're doing and you're working well within the boundaries of what you have decided to do. Problem is when there is a clash, right? And so we're taking on a different aspect of the conversation that you heard on that clip, if you were listening a couple of weeks ago, where he spoke, the young man in the video was speaking about accountability. And so we want to delve really deeply into that today. And I've started with a few statements that I've asked people should either let me know if it's a myth to them or a fact. And they have let me know their thoughts on it. So we are in the conversation proper right now. And I would say, please join us, okay? Let me make sure that the man that I gave a shout out to is actually sitting behind the camera so that when you are tuning in on Facebook and YouTube, you actually get to see Coach Mayzy and myself. You actually get to see Coach Mayzy and myself. So, Benga Adegboyega, check in with me. Let me know that you are there so that we know that you are streaming proper. Okay. All right. So while Benga is doing that, let's get into the conversation. Coach Mayzy, we're talking about the accountability aspect of the conversation today. Let me first of all throw a few statements out to you. Because we started to look at some of these things, myth or fact, on the show. So let me throw a few statements out to you so that we know what is what when it comes to accountability. So when I'm done throwing out the statements, then you can help us with a definition. Yes? So let me give you some things that I have here when people were speaking about accountability, right? A statement here, accountability is about blaming someone for the mistakes that they made. That's what some people understand accountability to mean. You know, they say, okay, I'm holding you accountable. And the way I can do that is by pointing a finger at you when you have done something right or when you have done something wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what some people understand accountability to mean. Some people say love and accountability are mutually exclusive. If you love me, if you really, really love me, if you know that you love me, I shouldn't have to apologize to you. I make a mistake, but you know that I made it from a place of love. And so I shouldn't have to apologize to you. They believe that these two things are mutually exclusive, right? Some people take it to the extreme in the sense that they find that in trying to be accountable, because I had said earlier on the show that someone who is accountable, or for you to be able to understand accountability in a relationship, you need to understand what it means to even take accountability for your own actions in the first place. If you can't do that, then how it will be really difficult for you to now be able to then hold your partner to account and have them do that to you, vice versa. So some people take the accountability matter to the point where they account for their own actions, and then they also want to be responsible for the feelings and actions of their partners as well. So there are a lot of thoughts and misconceptions and all when it comes to accountability. Some people believe that for me to hold you to account is like they're coming from a place of fight and judgment. And I'm doing it because I've tried to hold you to account. So different thoughts, different understandings. So that's why I said, let me throw these things out to you first so that you help us understand when we say there should be accountability in relationships, what are they saying, or what are we saying with this statement?
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening, our wonderful listeners out there. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and your evening and night is really coming along well. Yes, beautiful question there on accountability. These are very real issues. These are things that many times are the subtle friction or crisis points in relationships. So to answer the question, what really does accountability mean? Right. First of all, it has to do with taking responsibility, right, for your emotions, your words, and your actions. First, owning it, taking responsibility for it, right? Your own, I'm talking about you. your thoughts, your thoughts or emotions, your words, your actions, and how it impacts on your partner. You see that? How it impacts on your partner and how it impacts on the relationship generally. It's important I set this foundation first, because every other thing we're going to say somehow will come back to this foundation. So, you taking responsibility for your own thoughts and emotions, your words, actions towards your partner, or the impact it has on your partner, and then the impact it has on the relationship generally. You wanted to say something?
No, I wanted you to say it again for the people in the back. Perhaps say it in a different way. That is less. That is less. Yes. That is less. Or less lecturer in a class and more layman. I don't know. I just feel like we really need to understand this.
So I thought that was a very good way to break it down as basic as possible, right? Because when people think about accountability, like you rightly pointed, many people think of accountability in terms of their partner. So you should be accountable to me. You should take the blame for this. You should do that. But it doesn't start with the other person. It starts with you. Do you own responsibility for your actions? And why did I start with emotions, words, and actions? Because ultimately your actions are powered by your paradigms, which are your thoughts. Your thoughts feed your feelings, your emotions. Your words express your emotions and your thoughts and your deep-seated beliefs. And then your actions stem out of the beliefs of your heart, what you hold to be true. So I can give a very quick example.
Okay.
Right? Your partner says something to you. You interpret it in a way that sounds like they were being disrespectful to you. Probably based on how you resonate with that line of communication, based on where you're coming from. So let me keep it real. So I have a friend who, used to say a lot, "Don't be silly," and he says that because that's just his way of saying, "My friend, what's wrong with you?" Just it wasn't that deep. So you could be talking with him and you say something, he's like, "Hey, my friend, don't be silly," because that was what they grew up saying in their house. The parents always said that to them. The siblings, that's how they just tease at each other, right? And then he gets into a relationship with the lady, and then they're having a conversation, and he tells her, "Don't be silly," and she really takes offense at that. Why? Because for her, are you saying that I am silly? Are you saying that I am stupid? Are you saying that something is wrong with me? And then she's angry. And then the anger leads to verbal exchange. You are the one that is silly. Something is wrong with you. Oh, wow. And then the anger, the verbal exchange leads to getting up and walking away from there. I can't take that. You can't be talking to me like this. And then now we have an issue at hand. Our guy is feeling like you disrespected me. You spoke to me rudely outside and then you stood up and walked away. How dare you? And then she feels like, well, you started it. You don't call me names outside. And Baba is like, called you which names? Hey, that's how I was joking. You see, now it has escalated to something else. But what made it go that far? The interpretation she received from an event that happened and the actions she took. Do you get it? So accountability means that you, first of all, the guy who is saying don't be silly, tells himself, oh, I recognize that something about what I said came off to you the wrong way, which was not my intention, and I am sorry for that. And then the person who had also taken it to the left, and giving it back to him basketballs and stood up and walked away, also says, okay, you know what? Yes, I see that your intentions were pure and I misinterpreted this. Okay, I also am sorry for the things I said to you and for the way I acted towards you. What happened there was accountability, taking responsibility for your actions, for your feelings, for your emotions, and the impact it has on your partner and the impact it has on the relationship generally. So how does it impact on the relationship when your partner is angry with you? Most likely you guys are not going to speak to each other for a while. That relationship is going to be strained. And then depending on how you guys are able to manage conflict properly, it may even lead to the end of that relationship. So that is where accountability starts from. Knowing that something about what I am doing today has an impact on my partner and the relationship at large. That is the beginning of understanding accountability. Let me stop there for now, right?
Okay. So basically it is about thoughts, words, how thoughts interplay into words, how words translate into actions, and how each person is able to say, this is how all of these things have affected this person, and right, the impact it has on relationships.
That's right.
So are we saying that accountability is not, you need to tell me where you are going, when you are going, how you are going, why you are going? Is that part of it? Or is that a different kettle of fish altogether?
No, it's part of it. So that was why I said this was like the most basic definition I could give, because you'll see how all of these other things now will plug into this definition.
Okay.
So the example you just gave, I need to tell you where I am going, right? Why should I tell you where I am going? How will your not knowing or your knowing where I'm going impact on you, who's my partner, and impact on our relationship? Do you get it?
Whether you are the man or the woman.
Yes, irrespective of who it is, the man or the woman, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to church, you're a member of the choir in your church, and you're going for choir rehearsal, and I already know that every Thursday at 6 p.m. you go for choir rehearsal at church. I should typically understand that if I'm trying to call you at 6:05 and you don't pick, perhaps you're already at church at rehearsal. And then I should be able to wait till when you're done at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., or I just drop you a message and then you can talk to me when you're free, right?
Yeah.
That is because I understand where you are right now, and it absolves me of any need for worry or anger or any, do you understand? Because I know exactly what's going on. Now, when we have schedules that we are already familiar with, and then something different is coming up, it's important that the one who is doing something that's deviating from the normal informs the other to say, okay, you know what? Yes, we're supposed to meet every Friday. We hang out from 8 p.m. till 12, right? But there's this meeting I'm at and it's pushing really late. I don't think we'll be able to see till like 10 p.m. It's important for me to inform my partner. Why? So that I don't leave them in the dark. When you leave them in the dark, then they start guessing, they start getting worked up. I'm calling you, you're not picking, you're not sending any messages. First of all, where it's a healthy relationship, the first thing you're thinking of is the safety of your partner. When it's healthy, I hope you're okay. Normally you would have replied by now, but you're not
Caveat,
replying.
when it is healthy.
Yeah.
Caveat.
When it's a healthy relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing you are thinking about is the safety of your partner. But you see, when it's a toxic or an unhealthy one, then what you're thinking of is, why is this person not answering me? And then you start getting offended at that, right? And you feel justified in your offense and your anger because why should you just not pick my call? Then your mind starts straying to the left. Maybe she's with another guy. Maybe he's with another girl. Maybe they're even doing something now. Maybe they're in one hotel. Maybe they're this. Maybe, and you start imagining all of that rubbish, right? What would have saved the partner all of this wandering mind? Simple information. Oh, I will be at so place at so time. That is you understanding that my telling you where I am has the potential to affect the next reaction or response I will get from you, and it has the potential to affect this relationship negatively. Do you get that? So it's that understanding that makes you want to keep in touch and say, okay, sweetheart, there's some new development. Okay, darling, this is what's going on. I'm going to hang out with my friends. It looks like it's going to run late, so I might not be able to take your call. We're going to a party. It's going to be really loud in there. It's not because you cannot take your own decisions by yourself, but because you appreciate the understanding that if my partner doesn't know where I am per time, they could get worried.
Or
and I don't want them to be worried.
Or apart from them worrying, it could create room for their minds to wander, and their minds are wandering, and then the next thing you know, maybe a little resentment starts to build in because their mind has played out all these scenarios. And after their minds have played out all the scenarios, they can't even come to you with those things that their minds have imagined and all of that. And so there's this sense of, but at the same time, we need to go on a quick break. But let me ask you this question, and when I come back, open up the phone lines, because I want to hear people, having spoken a little bit about this, I want to hear what people have to say. Some people have said, look, the reason why I find accountability to my partner to be a bit stressful or a bit unnecessary or unwarranted is even when I am open and honest to them about some of these things, they then use it as a form of control, or they use it to manipulate, or they use it to do this and do that. Like, so somebody whose mind wants to wonder will wonder whether you're accountable to them or not. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll address that particular angle. We'll be back.
All right. Great.
important question. Should partners be accountable to each other, or is accountability a one-way street? Coach Mayzy and I have been talking, and he has given a little bit of a background into it. And then I asked him a question just before we went on the break. But I want to hear from you. Well, I'm going to open up the phone lines right now. Maybe some people have stories to share about times when they really, really took this accountability thing personally, and they were like, okay, let's do this. But then their partners turned the tables on them, turned it on their head, and then used it to cause problem or do damage or insult them, call them all sorts of names. It could be, a woman with her experience. It could be a man with his experience, because in this parts of the world, what we typically see more often than not, can I say that? I wouldn't say more often than not, but what we are kind of used to is because, from the men, a lot of them come from traditional understandings of roles. And so there is a way that a woman is said to behave, that if you're not behaving, it's like you're not submitting. So a woman, naturally, part of what they would consider submission in a relationship to her husband is, you need to let me know what's going on with you, when it's going on, how it's going on, why it's going on. And so you see that often play out from the woman to the man. You don't typically see it play out from the man to the woman. Or could it be that it has played out that way? The phone lines are open. I would like for you to share your story so that Coach Mayzy and I are not just talking to ourselves, or we're not just talking at you. We want to be able to talk with you and to you. So let's converse, okay? Let me start by reading out the phone numbers, and I would like Binga to share from his own personal experience. Binga looks like he has a lot to say on this matter. So it's 07009510000 if you want to participate in the conversation, or 009597486. On WhatsApp, you can also call in. It's 00999300137. Do you have any experiences of this whole accountability conversation? How did it work out for you? Hello? Good evening. Could you turn down the volume of your device, please?
Are you fine now?
No, it's not. Take your time, turn it down, and then call us back. Wenga.
Ma.
Like I said, you look like you have a lot to say on this matter. Be honest.
Is there a way they look?
Be open and be true.
Okay.
Do you think that as a man in a relationship, you should be accountable to your partner? At least Coach Mayzy has defined this in a few ways, Do you think that this is something that should be happening from you to your partner?
Absolutely.
Be honest.
So basically, accountability is like one of the offsprings of love, in the sense that if you want to use the backing of the Holy Book to define love, or to state why love is important, you remember the passage where it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, which means you are the template on how you love someone else. If you want to love someone else, you take a cue of how you love yourself. That's how you treat someone else. So love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you want to achieve accountability with your partner, exactly as Coach Mayzy said, you have to be accountable to yourself first. You have to care for yourself first. You have to know that, if I'm going out, someone needs to know I'm going out because someone is expecting me to come back. It doesn't have to come from someone else caring or showing concern. It has to start from you showing why that concern is valid.
For another person to feel that concern about you.
Yes, you
valid.
have to accept within yourself that you owe it. Because some people, what we don't understand about relationship is, I think you made that very good introduction. We think it's all about the next person, all about what I expect you to do, what you are going to do for me. But it's all about what I bring to the table, not what you're expecting the other person to bring to the table. So if you are satisfied with what you are bringing to the table, then it is easier for you to explain yourself to the next person. So let me say accountability, for example, now. The easiest one is calling. And we know it's ladies that keep records. The last time you called me, I remember it's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday last week. That was the last time you called me. And they know how to calculate all those things. Meanwhile, the guy is not looking at the calculation of when last I called you. He's more interested in what happened between the last time we spoke and now. So you are on the call and all you are concerned about is picking out the offense of why you did not call me, instead of asking, what did you do when we didn't speak? And that can cause different, because you are saying I should be accountable, but you should ask me why. Right? Oh, you are going out. Tell me why you are going out. I know some people, close friends, their partner don't like them to be on social media. Who are you smiling with? Who are you chatting with? Why are you online by 10 p.m.? I can't choose to be online because I'm dating someone. So you need to tell me why you are showing that concern. You need to explain yourself to me. And that's where my own...
your personal standpoint.
Yeah, that's where my own worry comes from. I think people need to understand that you can't demand accountability from someone when you yourself do not understand what accountability means to yourself.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Gbenga, for sharing your thoughts. Let's take a few more thoughts on this and then we'll come back to Coach M. Dear. Hello? Okay. Hello?
Here, Somi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Yeah, Justice of
Peace. Good to have you here. Talk to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I think for the short period I follow up the program, what the analyst guest was saying was purely truth. For me, accountability is a foundation of openness. Openness, being open to your partner. When it comes to real or true love, whoever you love, his or her safety will so paramount, so important. Her joy matters. And you will also know if the person do the same to you. You should know that whatever happens to you will give the fellow very big trouble. So, and what else? You have to open up and make sure he can account for you in the secret, even behind you. He can tell someone, this my friend is so place, and that is it. He can predict where you are, and that is real. So it's very important. But you see, these days, why accountability become issues is because there is a lot of cockroach in one's cupboard. And someone want you to be, yes. Why are you calling me all the time? Why must you know where I go? If where you are going is open, is clean, is pure, you have nothing in your mind, I should know. In fact, women, or I can say the opposite sex, is the same thing. One of the reasons you want to know where the other person is to make sure, is to be sure wherever you are that the person is safe, is secured, is okay. You know? So accountability is very important in a true relationship. But whenever the fellow, these days, you can love me and I don't love you. And when you begin to look, peep so much into my affair, because I have not given you such permission. I begin to no. You why are you asking? Why do you want to know? Because I have more area I report to, not you. Thank you, Somi.
All right, thank you, Justice of Peace. Thank you. The phone lines are buzzing, so let's take a few more calls, Coach, and then we'll come back. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Sonia, my name is Estonia.
Go ahead, welcome.
Okay. Based on my own little experience as a man, I don't think I should give forward to my woman, but at all. Based on the experience I've had and also how inefficient it could be these days in terms of capitalizing on somebody's ability and all that. Especially when it comes to my finances and my peace. I don't think I should tell you anything about it. And I think I should be giving you every surprise as my own partner. And also, except this probably okay, maybe where I'm going to strike dangerous that I'm not too sure about that graphic. And I'll tell you that I want to go and see a friend just hopefully can stay there. So I can in anything happens to me, you can move to the case.
Okay.
I'm giving you all I can.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. We'll take one more call. Oh dear God. All right. Let's see. Can they call back in a few seconds? 07009510000 or 00959746869. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Somi. Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening. How's the day?
Very well. Very well, thank you. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you to your guest. He actually said a lot, and he made so much sense. For me, I feel there's no true relationship without accountability. Especially when it comes to marriage. In relationship, people can do whatever they want to do, but I'm talking about genuine relationship when it comes to marriage, right? If you're not ready to be accountable to your partner, then you don't have to get into marriage, right? Because the very day both of you took that vow at the altar, saying, to death do us part, you become my responsibility, and I become your own responsibility from that day. If it's about movement, I should know where you are at every point in time. If it's a relationship with trust, I don't necessarily need to know exactly what you are doing, but I should know that you are here and you are going to be here at this time. In case of anything, personally, I don't know how people say it, personally, wherever I'm going to, if I'm going to be late or I'm going anywhere, I'm open to my spouse. Let her know, look at where I'm going to be. If I'm going to go somewhere dangerous, or why would I even be doing dangerous things? Like, if I'm going to go somewhere I feel I'm not comfortable, it's actually the best time to even be accountable so that your wife know that this is where you're going to be at any point in time. Am I a wife that actually is very understanding that sometimes I could walk very late on her own because of the trust I've built over time, will tell me if it's so time, don't enter the road. Just look for a hotel and sleep. Next morning you come back. And because of that trust that we have built over time, I wouldn't even want to do anything that will hurt her. Sometimes I will even take the risk and just come back because I just want to avoid a temptation or whatever. If you are into a relationship, it's all about accountability. Relationship itself should be built on being accountable to your partner.
Okay.
Including in finances.
But, including finances.
It's not supposed to. Of course. Including in your finances. You should be able to. I don't know how people build a relationship. I don't know how people say. Personally, I will even say, okay, my wife is more prudent than I am.
Okay.
Right? I'm even more accountable to her because it helps me to be more, to save more. In fact, letting her know what I have helps me to save more than the other way around, because
all right,
I will know that any money I give to my wife to get it out is a problem, and that money is actually safe until whenever a need arises.
Okay.
It's a new need where we'll need to. So that's for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, let's come back to I don't know why Benga is laughing. Let's come back to Coach. We'll talk a little bit and then we'll go back to the phone lines. So far, I've heard a few things that stood out for me. I'll start with Benga, who said, accountability is not an issue. The issue is, where is this coming from? Your reason for me being accountable to you, where is it coming from? Is it coming from a place of controlling, wanting to control, or what are the intentions behind you asking? But he also went ahead to say, beyond you asking, are you ready to even be accountable to yourself first and foremost? We also had another person who said accountability, he's all for it, and then sort of like gave a reason as to why accountability may be an issue for some people, and he says you have so much to hide. You have so much that you don't want. Yes, and that is why it might be an issue for you. But I also feel like some people have tried it before and they've been burned, and so they're slowly working their way back to that point. Another caller said, I don't feel like I should tell you about my finances, for example. But let me come back to Coach with this question. Coach, when it comes to being accountable, there are different dimensions. I wish we can get into the dimensions of this, right? We've talked about, in terms of movement, knowing where they are, why they're doing what they're doing and the likes. And Benga was laughing when the last caller said, you should be accountable. Yeah, you should be able to let them know where you're going at every point in time. Is there such a thing as doing too much with accountability? I come back to the person who talked about finances. Now, I doubt that. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but I doubt that he would not share a single thing about his finances with his partner. Perhaps the issue would be, do I have to come and tell you about every single naira that comes into my account, how I made the naira, and all of that? Is there such a thing as doing too much with this accountability? Let me come back to you with that question, and then you can respond to some of the thoughts that the callers had if you want to.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. I mean, the callers I enjoyed listening to every one of them, and I agree with what they shared. I saw the part where Benga was laughing.
Every time, everywhere,
when one of the callers said, "Yeah, you needed to at every point in time let your partner know where you're at, or what you're doing, or stuff like that." So let me speak to that, and then I'll answer your question about if there's such a thing as doing too much, right? So, like Benga first said, why accountability? He said something like, "I want to know why you are bothered about this," and it's a good question. Every time the question "why" is asked, it's a pointer to the fact that somebody is about to get to the root of something. So why is accountability important at all? At all, why is it important? And the first reason, which I would speak to, is something that one of the callers even mentioned, because it builds trust. And what is relationship without trust? You're just setting up yourself for emotional damage or injury. Oh yeah. What is relationship really without trust? Can't you see that you're just carrying a load that you're about to heap on the back, of your heart, as it were, to weigh you down unnecessarily? So accountability helps trust. So that, for example, I mean, there are a number of other reasons why we need to be accountable, right? But that singular factor of building trust is one of the reasons why you tell yourself that it is important that I'm able to be transparent and open with my partner, so that they understand me at every point in time, and I don't have to explain myself, or I don't put them in a situation where they're second guessing what I am saying. So based on that, for example, yes, really, at any point in time, so long as you remember that definition I gave, that because you're understanding that whatever you're doing has the potential to impact on your partner and to impact on the relationship, knowing that tells you that I should save them that stress by coming up front to just declare. Now, it is not an obligation as something that when you don't do, you get dealt with, like you get punished. Do you understand? It is just a sense of responsibility. Do you get that? It's a sign of maturity. Why? Because I care about you. Why should I leave you in the dark on my whereabouts? And then if my whereabouts is going to be questionable, so why should I be going to that questionable place? Why should I go and visit my ex-girlfriend in a house at 7 p.m. in the night? What am I looking for? Do you understand? So if it's going to be questioned, why should I go hang out in a club that's going to be, so tense with sexual temptation and stuff like that, with guys who don't really care about their commitment to their wives or to their marriage, and who would just readily pick up any girl? Why should I show up in that kind of place? If I know that it has the tendency to hurt my partner or my relationship, then I shouldn't do it. That's the beginning of accountability, knowing that my actions will impact my partner or my relationship. But if by any reason I have to pass that place or show up somehow, then I let my partner know, hey, okay, so for example, there are some bosses that hang out in some really, really places you can't even talk about, to have very professional meetings, conversations. So your boss is coming into town, and then there's a matter you guys need to table, and he tells you, meet me up at 12 a.m. at so club. Your partner needs to know that, CEO, I am going to be at so place, so this is what's happening there. Do you understand? Because if you don't do that, one of that mutual friend will see you there and go and say, hey, what's up? I see you guys are hanging out at the club today. Where are you? Let me say hi. And you're like, no, I'm at home. Oh, I thought I saw Deji at the club. You don't cast. I thought I saw your car at the car park. You don't cast. And then because your partner did not tell you, your imagination goes wild. Who are they there with? What's going on? I thought you said you're in the office. I thought you said you're meeting with your boss. I thought and then it goes wild. You see? But just simply letting them know, yeah, we're moving from the office over to, if I'm going to chill out, or we're going to social place, we're going to have karaoke. You know, just letting them know eases their minds, or is supposed to ease their mind, because some people have their own personal trouble. Some people have their own personal trouble. Nothing you do is ever going to make them be at peace. That's a conversation for another day, right? But you coming up front to say, this is why I'm being at so place, or I'm doing so thing, is supposed to help them to calm down. So that's just speaking to the why. Then to the question of, is there such a thing about doing too much? You see, you would recall that I always tell you something, that when people understand that marriage is about becoming one, that understanding can take care of a lot of questions. So let me ask, to yourself, is there such a thing as doing too much in being accountable to yourself?
It's possible.
Right? To yourself.
Benga says it's possible. It's possible that you can do too much to yourself.
Examples, and we can speak to that.
So today we're having the conversation in at work with colleagues sitting down at the traffic center. You know, the traffic center, and we're talking about the fact that you can spend so much time with the hustle, spend so much time trying to do a lot of things. I mean, my head was swelling when Somi was talking about the fact that, Benga is here doing this one. Personally, I also know what I do during the day in different departments. And day by day, you wake up with that sense of, okay, I have a purpose in life. I'm going to work. I'm earning salary. Oh, another money is coming from this place. Another money. You yourself, you have not sat down to say, when have I bought chicken and chips? Let me just sit down and enjoy myself. When am I going to sit down and say, problem, no, they finish, and just carry 2.5? No, it's no longer 2.5 these days. Carry 7K and go and buy. You understand? I don't want to mention any brand. So there's a part that you yourself will forget to be accountable to yourself, which is sometimes we need compassion. So I understand Somi's question. When will accountability cross the line and become stalking? Is it possible to stalk your partner, all in the name of showing concern?
Accountability.
And it is a very valid concern.
Yes, thank you very much for that answer. So you see, I like what you said, even though you did not really answer what I asked, but you spoke to the other side of it, which is under accountability to yourself, right? The question I asked is, can you be over accountable to yourself?
So if I were to, let me try and break this down in my head in the process of answering. So if I'm talking about accountability to myself, I'm saying, okay, I'm a human being. I do things. I make mistakes. I make plans. I have goals. I set schedules, all of that. And then staying accountable to myself is saying, when I make a mistake, I own the fact that I made that mistake. I don't try and put it on someone else. When I fail to meet up with my goals and my plans and all of that, I am able to sit down and restructure and say, okay, this is why this didn't happen. Did I play a role in it? Whatever role I played in it, I own up to it and say, okay, this is what I need to tweak. This is what I need to adjust here and there. This is what being accountable to myself sounds like to me. So to answer your question, can I do too much of that? I believe yes. I believe that sometimes we can be a little too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
I believe that we can be a little too hard on ourselves and we don't allow ourselves room to breathe. Sometimes we're checking every single box and crossing every T and dotting every I. That what ends up happening is that we are not allowing ourselves room to say, okay, maybe you did a little good in this area. You're constantly saying, if I'm not making 100 of 100, then I'm a failure. So I believe that we can be a little too hard on ourselves in terms of how we're accounting to ourselves.
So let me come in here. Very beautiful points you both made there. But do you see that at that point where you're crossing it, right, we're beginning to get into a little bit of other issues.
Such as?
Perfectionism is a trauma response. A lot of people don't know that. Why do people push themselves too hard? What are they running away from? What is the operating thought in their mind when they think I'm never good enough? I have to keep pushing. I have to always do this, right? So that will take you back to the point that when you start to do that towards your partner, then you're crossing the line.
So,
so the point is,
so you can do too much, but in essence, what doing too much translates as is no longer accountability, something else.
Exactly.
I get that.
Exactly.
Now. Okay.
Exactly. You deduced it perfectly. That's what I was taking you to. All right. And this is where accountability becomes unhealthy or a tool of manipulation or control. Where in the guise of accountability, I want to treat your autonomy as though it does not exist and I own you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Yes, you have done well to share your whereabouts with me, and then I now believe I have the right to dictate about it. You have told me well enough that, okay, I'm going to be at so place, we would close at 10 p.m. and then I should be home at 10:30, and I say, no, I need you home by 9:30 p.m.
Coach,
when it's not practically possible for you, for goodness sake.
Coach, let's use a different kind of accountability, and then explain this your point again when it starts to be something else. We've talked a lot about where you are and movement and all of that.
Okay.
Let's talk finances. Yeah, and then let's talk what else people get to be accountable to their partners in for. That's the right word. Right?
Yeah.
And then what does it look like when they are crossing the line, for example?
Okay, so do you have a particular example you want us to treat on?
No, I'm saying generally speaking. Like, so for example, I take the caller, for example, who says, I don't see the reason why I should be telling you everything about my finances. Is it possible that a partner who has access to the finances of their partner and all of that can then abuse that access, so much so that, they will be scarred by it and say, never again. Never again. My money is my money. If I give you, I give you. If I don't give you, the most important thing is that I've given you what you need to run the house, and you don't need to know how I make it. All of that.
So with finances, for example, finance is very sensitive. Every time it comes up, it's very, very sensitive. It's very sensitive. Now, can you really tell your partner everything about your finances? I don't think that's possible or necessary. But what can happen is that they have access to your financials. And if there's any question they have, they can see it there.
Unfettered access, like everything coming in, going out, everything.
See, a lot of people will get uncomfortable with that. But let me tell you, back to the concept of oneness. If truly we are married and we are now one.
Okay.
I've talked about the concept of joint accountability before, which is a step higher than just joint accounts. Joint accountability means that
Could you hold that thought? Could you hold what it is? I need to hear this properly and I don't want to rush you. Let's take a quick break. Less than a minute and we'll be back. Okay.
A hangout is always better with food.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
We are back, and Coach was just getting into that definition, and I didn't want to interrupt his train of thought. I mean, I may have interrupted just before, but not in the process of. So I will let him get to it. But let's see very quickly. All of our people who are following on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja, a special shout out to you. We see you. I see you, Hafsat, who's saying good evening. I see you, Godwin James, who says it's good to be accountable to each other. Also, Francis Namani, all the way from Amagunze in Enugu State, says good evening. Somi, welcome the guests. Keep up the good work. And also Williamson Irimaya says good evening. I'm enjoying your program. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much to all of you. We'll get to the phone lines in a little bit. Let's just allow Coach to finish his thoughts very quickly, and then we'll go back to the lines. We're talking accountability. Go ahead, Coach M.
All right, thank you very much. So I was talking about accountability when it has to do with your finances.
Yes.
And then I was about to describe the idea of joint accountability, right, when it has to do with your finances. And I said that beyond just having joint accounts, all right, joint accountability means that both of you share the same financial goal or vision as a family. You have visibility into what is coming in from both sides. You have agreement on what the expenses should be. You have agreement on what your sharing formulas are for whatever it is. So, for example, I'm earning 500K. My wife is earning 500K or 400K, for example, or 600, whatever the case. We both know what we are earning. We both agree that this is the percentage we're putting into the central purse, right? We both agree on how the central purse will be administered, or even if we're not doing the central purse thing, but we all know what the money is going for per time. I'm talking about the major categories, expense categories now. Now, what I was saying may not be necessary is I want to buy suya. I say, honey, I want to buy suya. How much is it? It's 10.5. Oh, yeah, buy. Thank you, honey. I go and buy suya, 10.5. All that is the one I'm saying is not necessary. But the major expense categories, we know that we should set aside money for fuel, for example, money for rent, money for school fees, money for family members, black tax, money for savings, money for investment. We all know what the goal is. We all know what we are working towards, and there is openness there. We also know that from this money we have received, let's say we are contributing 70%, both for 70% to the central purse, and then we are leaving 30%. That 30% that I'm leaving for you, it is not my business what you say you want to go and do with it, because I trust you that you won't do something that is detrimental to the family. So I won't go and start probing, that your money, is it still there? Where did you go? What did you use it for? This bag you bought, how much is it? Is it not expensive? No, I'm not going to be doing that. That's unnecessary. What matters is that together we're pursuing the goal we have agreed to pursue as a family. But then, do you know that it's also possible that I have access to your banking information, but the fact that I have access to it does not mean that I am going there every now and then to go and be checking what you are doing as if I'm making a report card.
Let me paint this picture for you. Let me paint this picture for you, Coach M. I go back to the joint accountability level that you described. Yeah. So each person is expected to put in, say, a certain percentage, for example, right?
Yeah.
So that one is going on. Mm-hmm. But then you talk about this access to the other financials, right? And I'm the wife in this relationship, right? And then my husband sees a deposit of 10 million naira, which is typically outside our earning streams, what we'll typically make in our earning streams. He sees this deposit. Is he well within his right to ask me, where did this money come from? I saw 110 million in accounts. What is this money? And vice versa.
Exactly.
Is that
yes? It is.
Is each person well within their rights to ask that question, or is that doing too much? Because if we separate it the way you have separated it, which is outside the different, the regulars, the recurrent expenditure and all of that, house rents, this school fees, all of that, but he has access to my financials. What if this money comes in and he comes and asks me a question and I do not give him an answer? what then happens?
Why
Because
would-
I
why
also
would you
heard you
consider-
say, it is not an obligation for which if I don't do it, I should be punished. So what happens in this
So
scenario?
that's about legal. When I said that, that's about legalism. That's about being legalistic, right? Doesn't mean that there is no openness. Do you get that? So when there is something like that that is against the norm, he should not even be the one to discover it. You should be the one to declare it. Oh yeah, you should be the one to declare it. Like, hey, something just happened. What's going on here? I'm seeing this a lot, right? You should be the one to declare it. That is the openness we're talking about.
Okay,
Right,
let me
because
flip it. Let
Yeah.
me flip it. I am the man in this relationship, for example, and this deposit comes in, and he has played his role, he has contributed his part in terms of school fees. Say it is even a traditional setting where they don't have the split roles of protector, what they call it. The man is provider, protector, breadwinner, and all of that, and the woman is just to nurture. So they don't even have this scenario going on because I don't see this joint account thing happening
So
a
the
lot of
thing
the
is,
time. What then happens if this happens? If she finds out?
If there is no accountability in place at all, then it's not there. Do you understand? But if it is there, irrespective of the scenario, it will be what it is. Do you get what I'm saying? So if it's a traditional situation where she doesn't even know what he earns, he doesn't even necessarily give account of what comes in or what is due, so long as he provides for the family, then that would just be the default. Money will come in and she won't know. After all, there are people who know what their husbands earn, but they don't know when there is a bonus. They don't know when there is a 13th month. They don't know when their leave allowance is paid. They don't know all of those ones. And the guys go just use those ones, go flex, go do one or two that they are not aware of. Do you understand? But when there is a system of accountability, as 13th month is coming, she knows that there's 13th month and she knows when it's going to be paid.
And that's
As
not doing
tax
too
reform-
much?
No, that's not doing too much because you are one. Let me tell you where there's a problem with this thing. Is where one of the parties, right, have an unhealthy pattern. So, for example, the woman, when she sees money, for example, like I said, don't come for me. When she sees money, all she's thinking of is come and buy this, come and do this, come and, And then Oga has seen that anytime I let you know that there's money, you spend it even as if I don't have any plans for the money. And there are cases like that. See that salary, hey, so juniors this, and that she will give him list. The money is gone. Papa will not say anything. Meanwhile, he had plans. He wanted to make deposit for one land, But you see, from the example I'm giving, you're already seeing that there's a problem. They don't share a vision.
Yeah.
They are not discussing. They're not discussing. Do you get it? So where there's a problem with openness and accountability is where any of the partners, has an unhealthy pattern that does not help the unity, of that relationship. That is where there will be a challenge.
Or where there is no discussion and agreement in terms of what the financial needs of the house
Exactly.
are, what's
What
priority
the
one,
vision is.
and
Yeah.
all of that. Okay, Coach, let's take some phone calls because the phone lines have been buzzing. Let's do this. Hello.
All right.
Hello. My name is Chuck.
Oh, welcome, Chuck.
Thank you. I am very much interested in finance. And for me, there is nothing to be accounted for if you can remove yourself from somebody saying account for me or don't account for me. It depends, because from what the coach is saying, is as if his example is only for people who are maybe salary earners or something like that. I am a businessman,
right?
And I brought my wife into the business. And initially, when we married, we had joint account. That joint account never worked.
Okay.
Then when I brought her into the business, if I open a business account, the mandate for banking will be me or her.
Mm-hmm.
Me or her. So because I know that she can strike a business on her own, I can also. So we are all adults, and we know what is good for us. So strike a business for us. Whenever I have a business to do, or I did a business and I'm not around, she need to pay, she pick up a check and write. And the person goes and draw up the check. So by that, I've already exonerated myself of how much is coming in and how much is coming out, because you already have access to that money. If we finish it, we'll be looking at ourselves in the eye in the face. When there is need, yes, when there is need, we'll be looking at ourselves. So everybody we have to behave. We have to behave like an adult we are. You understand? So, but being the head of the family, if there is any major expenses she wants to do, she will let me know. This is what I want to do. And go ahead now. Why are you telling me? You're already an adult. So, by so doing, I'm very, very free in any issue that has to do with your finance. Why did I say this? There are some people that the man will have money, and when there is issue, anything that has to do that has maybe happen that the person dies, and the woman does not know, that money don't go. That's just the way it is. So being open when it has to do with finance is very important in marriage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chuck, for that. Coach, sorry, I had the call on WhatsApp, and so I couldn't connect you just yet, but I hope you heard what he said. At least you caught some part of it. Coach M, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
There was a little hitch.
Okay. I said, were you able to catch some parts of what the last caller said?
Yes, I got some part of it.
Okay. All right. I'll let you respond to that in a little bit, but let's take a few more calls so that when you come back, we will give our concluding thoughts, and then definitely bring back the conversation next week, because apparently the people have a lot to say. Benga being one of them. But Benga, let me take these calls first. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
How are you doing?
Welcome.
Good evening to Benga as well. Yeah, I think the area I'm more interested about is the area of the finances. These two, both parties, husband and wife, and they always able to be able to be honest to each other. But the most emphasis about the honesty or the sincerity, whatever you call it, is all about the finances. Because you can't expect me to open up, to what I'm doing about my finances. I don't know for other people's opinion, but that is me. Because if I'm a businessman, and I want to do one project which I'm interested about, you don't expect me to come and tell you what I intend to do, or how much am I intend to put in that stuff, or to give you accountability on what I'm trying to do. Right? Because as long as we all concern us guys, I don't think I should be accountable, to my spouse when it has to do with finance. But other things, like where I'm going, maybe I'm about to travel, I have to tell her that this time I'm going to travel. It's maybe going to take me maybe 3 days or 4 days thereabouts.
Okay.
The area of finance, I think we have to be very careful, because as particular, you'll be able to say that. Because you can do as a woman, you could do whatever you want to do about yourself, because I don't believe in joint accounts. I don't believe it. Because if you like get 1 billion come to your account, and you want to tell me, guy, or my husband, so amount comes to me, I will be able to ask you, oh, well, good and fine. How did you get the money? That's not my business.
Okay.
But the thing, if the thing gets fires back, maybe whatever deal it comes, I think we should be able to be responsible about that, because you don't know what area you need to do so that you should be able to account to whatever comes to you.
All right.
Other maybe intensive in the house and all those stuff. I think as a guy, you could be able to, be responsible about that and kind of. But to me to say, man, I need to give you account of. No, I don't do that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. I think your point is clear. Okay, let's get Benga's thoughts, and then we'll bring Coach M back.
We've overflogged the financial issue, and I think
Why
that
do you say it's overflowed?
no, I mean we make it look like it's the only sensitive part of this accountability, and I'm sure this is tonight with Somi, and there's one part that we've not really touched that is also as critical. Coach Mayzy, you can hear me loud and clear. Please, I would like you to talk about how we can be accountability in the other room. Now,
accountable to your partner in the other.
See, it's a serious issue because this is what I'm saying now. You can't really discuss if you would always be in the mood. You can't really discuss if you'd always be available. And there are issues where, you go out, I've done this, I've come back, I'm tired, I want to rest. You want to rest, but you are my wife. I don't want to rest. Tonight, I want something. But you know, is the wife has a valid reason why, but you know I'm coming back from work. But you know, you are coming back from work, but we haven't done this thing in 2-3 days. I don't know if you are getting my trajectory here. Where do we become accountable in the other room? Because in this case, it's not as 1 + 1 as finance, where we say we have joint accounts. You can't have joint mood. Basically. So please help us out. How can we be accountable in that aspect? In sex.
Okay.
If you don't mind, big guy, if you don't mind, I want to appeal that maybe we could start off with this next week, or
Venga's blood is hot.
let me answer the questions about finance. Let's close that part.
Yes.
Then I touch this. Is that okay?
No problem. Absolutely.
So let's do that. So let's wrap up with the finance. Then I'll touch this other room one. It's very critical, and thank you for bringing it up. Okay, so on the finance part, if I heard the last caller correctly, I think he said he didn't need to be accountable with his business decisions and business funds, stuff like that.
Yes,
just
he said
like
that.
Summarizing. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay, so
but in every
so
other area, he can be accountable.
So there's only one question I will ask him in understanding the definition of accountability I gave. If something goes wrong with his business and finance, will his wife and family be affected? If the answer to that question is yes, then he owes them accountability, irrespective of his belief system.
He said he doesn't believe in a joint account. Let me see if I can expand on this a little bit, because I believe the caller before him said something along those lines too. Says they tried a joint account system, it didn't work. So what then happened is that...
It doesn't work for everybody, by the way.
So maybe that is what we need to speak to, because the caller before him said he runs a business, and so it's not like a salary account kind of thing. So he made his wife a mandate to the account. So she has access, because but the joint account thing didn't work. So the last caller said he doesn't believe in a joint account, but he also went on to say that he doesn't believe that he should be accountable. I believe he has his reasons. Maybe time didn't allow us getting into it, because I was going to ask him, but he spoke to some extent, and I felt like, okay, we should let it go.
Yeah, so the thing is, that's why if you notice, as I talked about joint accountability, not just joint accounts. Because ultimately, what matters is that both of you are one in vision, in purpose. This is very key. You need to, I will keep coming back to this until it rests in somebody's heart. The concept is that both of you, we are doing this thing together. It has to register. We are one. Do you understand? And this is where part of the problem is. Some people will go and marry somebody that they cannot relate financial or business matters with. The person does not have the emotional or intelligence IQ quotient to have that conversation. So they can't discuss with them. So it's like when they are bringing it up, it's just waste of time, right? Now, that's rather somewhat unfortunate, So that's why they will not even be able to discuss anything with them. Because by the time you say, I want to invest so millions. Millions? What about, and come on. So when people... there are certain conversations they cannot take on together. The principle is, if it will impact on your family, then you need to them. And accountability here. So you see, this is where, accountability here, you may need to now find your own way, your family along, and there is no threat to them if anything goes wrong with your business. It does not mean that you'll be carrying them all through the business account and all through your business decisions and all through. No. That's not. I mean, they don't have to be that.
That's doing too much.
But exactly, that would be too much. But in a situation where you have, for example, there's emergency funds in case this investment does not go wrong, does not go right. In the next 6 months, we can still survive. And your wife knows what the fund is, where the fund is, how to access the fund in the case of any eventuality, right? Then you are being accountable. But does not mean that you're not telling her, hey, today, see what we sold, though, see what we spent, so we'll go and buy this. So if you people already have that level of relation, normal. But if it's not there, you may not owe it to her, so long as you're judiciously managing the family's business for the good of everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not about being legalistic as to what kind of textbook behavior today, point one, point two. No, it doesn't have to look like that. The point is just be aware that your decisions or indecisions, actions or inactions can have an impact on the people that are now a part of your life. And knowing that it can impact them, what can you do to prevent it from having a negative impact on them? That is accountability.
Okay.
All right. So I will close the financial accountability with that. Or do you want to expand that?
No. I just wanted to say that I could trace it back to your initial definition, which is how your... So you said words when you were describing at first. I'm going to say how your words, how your actions, how your plans or lack of it thereof can impact your partner as as your family. Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to finances, that's the key thing. I think that's the way we put it.
Yeah, that's very key. That's very key. You know? Right. And some people forget that accountability also goes to your family too. It's not just between you and your partner.
That's a conversation for another day.
That's a different season. It's a different season.
Okay, let's come to Benga's question.
So it's 11:18, Coach. I know that Benga wants to get to the bottom of this. Perhaps lay the premise.
Just tip of iceberg.
So that we will know that we're coming back to it. Because I also have a different angle when it comes to accountability.
In the other room,
that
right?
I want. No, now outside the other room. You are handling the other room aspect. Allow me to have the other one. All right. So please go ahead and attend to Benga.
It's very, very super valid point there. So again, with reference to the principle on accountability, your actions, your feelings, your words, your inactions, everything you do or don't do can have an impact on your partner. So when it has to do with sex is something that, the couple need to be able to talk about very freely. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
A lot of the time.
Sex talk is a lot of the time. Yeah, a lot of the time. It's not every time, but a lot of the time. In so many homes, it's not the case. They're not free. Couples are not free to talk about their sex needs or their sex queries or questions. Right? So, and that is already a fault. That's a problem somewhere, right? What it should be is that husband and wife are free enough to discuss their sexual needs. The thing about sexual relationship between a married couple is that it's not every time that it will be sweet and beautiful and what do you call it now? There are some times that you would agree for your partner out of a sense of I'm looking for another word from accountability. Okay, let me say
responsibility, a duty, devotion,
and duty.
I can keep going.
Exactly. Yes, I trust you. There are times you will agree from the place of that understanding that, see, I may not want to now, but this is important for the union and it's important for my partner. That is the whole essence of sexual accountability in marriage. You see, he gave an example of somebody saying, I'm in the mood or not in the mood. Yeah. We should be able to discuss about it. Before you're coming back from work, I know a lot of men need to also understand that for the woman, sex doesn't begin on the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It begins the whole day, from morning, from how you're
Yep.
treating her and how you're involved in her life, from the
Yes, please.
conversations, from the
Preach.
niceties, from all. It's all of those things that
Yeah.
build up to her sexual receptivity in the night. If it has to be in the night, by the way, it must not be night. It can be afternoon. Hello.
Tell them, sir.
All right.
Spontaneous.
So yeah. But what happens is many times a man emotionally abandons his wife and feels like, because I am your husband, you owe it to me to give this to me every time I want it. No excuse is tenable. So go ahead, and I want it now. Give it to me now. That won't be sensitive to your wife's emotions. All right. But if you understand that sex begins in the morning, from when you wake up, how you're treating her, how you're following up with how her day is going, there's the kind of care and love you will demonstrate towards your partner, that even when she's tired, but she knows that this is good for us, and she would be willing to be available. Do you understand? But it all boils down to how the relationship is faring generally, how the communication between the couples is faring. That's very key.
So here, while you're explaining this, I'm just imagining some men are like, why do I have to start at the beginning of the day just to get what I want at the end? Why?
After they say it's a man's world.
Yeah. Well, yes. Why woman won't say if it's too much? Why? And the woman is and the woman is there, and she's like, yeah, you have to prime me up. What is it? You just come wow, and you are gone. So while these two pictures are playing out in my head, I'm thinking the accountability now when it comes to this is being committed. When it comes to sex, or the other room, as Benga put it, is being committed to do what the other person requires for that sex to be what it should be when the time comes. For the woman, while the man is priming her up from the beginning of the day, the woman, what are the things that you need to do, right? So that when your husband comes, because it's not as much as I've heard this all over and over again, that sex is a need for a man, while when you come to the woman's side, what she needs is attention. You find that these two things have a way of now clashing, because that need that the man has, right? There's a way he can even be affected during the day, that the need will desert him. You as a woman, you now need to be committed to do what it takes so that his need will be satisfied, whether he realizes that he wants to have sex or not. So do you need to make sure that everything he needs when he comes back home is there? Is there peace when he comes back home? Do you get? Excellent. I'm just saying this to draw the balance and let you know that while the man is thinking, oh, I have to prime out from the beginning of the day, there are things that the woman has to do as well. So that sex, which is a need for this man, when he gets back home, everywhere is just making sense for him to be able to feel that need and express that need. So it's commitment on both parts. It's not just the man who is priming her from the beginning of the day. The woman too has her own part to play.
Yeah, and it should be enjoyed, not endured.
I will leave it for the men to give a little more.
Can I say something
clarity on this part? Yes, please.
So let me just use this opportunity to speak to what has become a general assertion or belief, which is that sex is a need just for the man, and then you hear us use the term, I also use that term within the context of the woman giving it to him or, indulging him, right? But the real truth is that sex is a human need. It is needful for both male and female. It is healthy for both the man and the woman. Sex has very wide-reaching benefits for the human body.
Yes.
Both male and female. You see, so some women think I'm doing him a favor when I'm giving it to him. I don't know. See, you are depriving yourself of an aspect of your wholeness and health if you are depriving it from him. You're also not doing good to yourself. You see, because when you look at the hormones, for example, that are secreted during sex, they are not male hormones. They are hormones that go both ways. All right. So, for example, there are endorphins that are secreted during sex, and those endorphins are natural painkillers. Those are hormones that help you to reduce stress, to reduce pain. It helps you to relax. Those are part of the pleasure hormones. And it's both secreted in the male and the female. You see, this is why you can have a very stressed day, come back, have very good sex, and
very
then you
vigorous.
have a very yes. And then you sleep very well and feel like a newborn baby.
Absolutely.
You know? Why? Because of the hormones, the activity that sex has, especially when it's a good one. Let me tell you where the problem is. Many times people don't climax, especially the ladies, the women. So because they don't get to that point, the journey for them is not complete. Many times the endorphins, there's a hormone called the vasopressin, the prolactin. Many times those ones are released after orgasm, at the height of it, right? Before then, what they're experiencing is the likes of the dopamine, the pleasure.
Yeah.
You're
talking about the women now. The women, yes, specifically.
No, dopamine is on both sides actually.
Okay.
Male and female. So I'm talking about hormones that apply generally.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Oxytocin. So you see, some people think it's only women that have oxytocin. No, it's present in both male and female. It's a human thing. It's what's responsible for, that bond, that feeling of intimacy, that trust, Yeah, so it goes both ways, actually, right? So the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin, these are all things that are present in every human being, and they help with your mood regulation, with your emotional balance. It helps in giving you a deep feeling of satisfaction or contentment in the place of intimacy. Do you get it? So there are benefits to both the male and the female.
Okay.
But many times it looks like we are doing it for the man. We are doing it just for him. We are giving it to him. Then when you want to punish him, you don't give it to him. But guess what? Good sex, for a lady, good sex can help cure your headache, your high blood pressure, even pains in your body, right? It can save you from stress. There are so many benefits, but because they don't know, they think it is a favor to the man. And then let me just end with this.
Right.
In the case that the man is not able to satisfy the woman, please, auntie, find a way to teach him and show him the road so that you too can experience all of these wonderful benefits of sex.
So in your place of dissatisfaction as a woman, you being accountable to your man as far as these matters is opening up and speaking. It also means that the man should be willing and able to create a safe space for these kinds of conversations to be had. Same way for the woman. Yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
We understand. I believe you've touched on it quite nicely. Benga, we can leave
Yeah,
it
we
alone
can
for
move on.
today.
We can move
yes.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Coach, it is 11:29. I have
Yes, we need to
calls
close.
coming in, and I have a few messages as well. Do you mind another 5 minutes? Let's attend to the listeners.
Okay, let's take them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's do that very quick. Please keep your contribution down to a minute so that we can maximize the time. Hello? Okay, just give me 1 second. Yes, hello, talk to me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I'm Edward calling from Oshafa.
Go ahead, Edward.
Coach, made a statement, but I'm glad that he later corrected himself by saying women do not give sex, but sex should be had and enjoyed by both the man and woman. You know, a lot of women have this notion that when sex is had, they are doing a man a favor. And I don't like to hear that because I know that sex is beneficial to both the man and the woman.
Okay.
Yes. So it is good that when a woman is not ready to have sex, or the man is not ready to have sex, the other partner should understand, because if the two of them are not ready, the sex will not be enjoyed.
All right.
Yes, so it is 1 minute. Let me just end it here so that I understand.
Thank you very much, Edward, and thank you for your consideration in terms of time. All right, let's do one more call because I have some voice notes that came in earlier and I need to play them. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
This is John calling from Malabar.
Welcome, John. Go ahead.
Yes, I heard you people talking about sex. That's a very sweet thing, and it helps the body actually.
It's not just sex we're talking about. We're talking about accountability in
No,
sex.
there was a conversation about sex now, so I want to talk about it.
Okay,
I
go
want to
ahead.
ask the doctor the professional
coach.
something.
Yes.
So after having all this sex as much as we can, we have to keep our body healthy and all that, and relieve ourselves from stress and all that. What do we take to replenish when every time we eat curry, apple rice, and other things? Let them tell us what to eat, not to replenish all those ones we lost. Thank you.
Okay, so just again to clarify, I have Coach Mayzy. He is a therapist, a counselor, pre-marital counselor, and the likes. He's not a doctor. Coach, you were asking you what to eat to replenish after all this sex. I would let the doctor who comes on Thursday deal with that one. Or do you want to delve into it? Okay. So
let the doctor speak to it.
Okay, so that was the last call. Like I said, I've got messages that came in earlier. Christy from Kuje says, "Good evening, Somi and Gbenga. I greet you too, Coach. My question is, why do men like to hide their finances in the name of the woman who will be demanding if she knows she has money? Why then should the same man want to know all about his wife's finances because he wants her to spend more at home than him? Given this situation, is it fair?" That is a message that came in from Christy. Let me play this voice notes and then you just take your responses and then we'll wrap it up for the day.
Okay, that's fine.
Good evening, Nigerian Info. Good evening, SWAT. Good evening, listeners. My name is Ezekiel Saleh from American School. I just want to chip mount on the issue of this rent.
That message was definitely not for here. Let me check this other one. He was talking about rents, and I don't know that we did that. Let's listen to this one.
Good evening, Somi. Let's talk about financial accountability in marriage. It's a very, very interesting topic. But I want to look at it in this way. So many men have a problem with being accountable, even in marriage. For me, I think why that is because of the fact that some of these men, they are the sole breadwinner of the family. They perhaps have a wife that is just a housewife, or they have a wife that does not contribute financially to the family purse. So in that regard, such a man would find it difficult to say, okay, I need to be accountable to my wife. I need to tell her this is how this was spent and this is how this is budgeted for this and that and everything. They'll find it very difficult because they are the ones that are making the money, and the woman will just be the one staying at home to take care of the home front. So they would see no need to be accountable for such, And then I want to ask Coach Ham, is there a way that we can find another word for the word accountability? Because I think the manly ego sometimes finds it a problem to with the word. It finds a problem with the word accountable. Being accountable.
Okay.
It's like, something that you just have to come and start, telling your spouse, okay, this is this and everything. It's like an obligation. Maybe we could find another word that makes it much more easier, makes it soft,
more bearable for the men to hear.
solution. That's what I think.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Let's take Coach's concluding thoughts. Coach?
Yeah, I didn't hear this last caller.
Let me do a quick summary because his audio was actually quite low. First of all, he said the reason why some men might have a problem with being accountable, especially financially accountable to their wives, is because they are the ones typically bringing in the money. They're the breadwinner. When we talked about the traditional roles, right? So you have this traditional person, protector, provider, and all of that. His own is that he's taking care of the family and all of that. And then the wife is in a traditional role as well as nurturer. She's probably a stay-at-home wife, and she's not necessarily contributing in terms of finances to the upkeep of the family and the likes. And so they feel like all you're doing is just sitting down and eating the money. So why should I come and be financially accountable to you? That's one submission that he gave. And then he also said, if you could find another word to replace the word accountability, because some men just see it as a little too much. If I were to paraphrase, he says, if you can find another word, it makes it easier for the men to swallow and say, okay, men, you should be this towards your wife, as opposed to saying, men, you should be accountable to your wife. He figured perhaps it's a little too big of a pill for a man to swallow when it comes to the terminology. Yes, so.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. So a very quick response to this and then to the other ones. So I think part of the reasons, and his earlier point is valid, is understandable, about where the man is the sole breadwinner,
yes,
and provider and all of that. Yeah. So like I said, people need to understand the term from a non-legalistic point of view. It's not about do's and don'ts per se, like I have to show you my account statement, I have to tell you this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm doing tomorrow, not to the latter like that, or not to the letter like that, but to the essence that there is awareness and access, and that if anything goes wrong, the family will not suffer for it, right? So, because the truth is, for a person who is in business or who is the sole earner, and maybe the wife is not even, does not even have the intellect per se to participate in some of those kind of conversations, it will be stressful having those conversations with her. That's the truth. It won't work. So, you know what? I'm managing it well. It's good for us. You focus on other things, and then life goes on. But like I said, there should be certain levels of openness and certain levels of access that helps the family to thrive. So let me leave it at that.
Okay.
Then about the point of using a somewhat lighter name. So I think part of the challenges that some men have with that word accountability is that it makes them feel somewhat less of themselves, as if to say they are reporting to their wives. Do you understand? As if to say she's the Oga, and then I don't owe her that level of, I'm the leader now, I'm the man.
Yeah.
So I should, maybe they consider that if they are accountable, it is a favor done to the woman, not like something that should be demanded of them. After all, they are the men.
Yes.
And I think that that can be from the traditional paradigm, like we talked about in the past few weeks, right? Where, but let me also say something that fuels that kind of thinking is the thought that the male, is superior to the female.
Isn't that the natural order of things?
No, that is not the case. No, that is not the case. That is not the case. That is not the case.
So what is it?
According to God's creation, the male and the female are equal in God's creation. Follow me carefully. He made them male and female and gave both of them dominion over every other thing he created, right? The only place where there is hierarchy is in husband and wife in marriage, and the hierarchy is a matter of office. The man has been appointed as the leader, does not make the woman any less of herself. Doesn't mean that she should be subjugated, right? So the way we like to say it, the man is the head, and then the woman is the neck or the rest of the body. What is the head without the body? Useless. What is the body without the head? Useless. So both need to understand that it's just a matter of office and order, all right, not necessarily superiority. The head cannot do without the body, neither can the body do without the head. Both of them need each other at different levels.
I feel like I feel like you have taken this to a whole other dimension, and we will have to talk about this extensively in a different session. Yes, because, in understanding some of these things, right? And that's why I said we're open to hear the different thoughts around, this accountability thing. And I'm grateful for that voice note, that brought it from this whole perspective, right? To say, this is why.
Yeah.
But, so I was thinking perhaps maybe I can come up with that term that's a bit lighter. And then I came up with one, and I'm like, if I bring this one, it's like I've added petrol to the fire. In my head, I was saying answerable instead of accountable. It's even worse. But there are reasons behind. See, that was a valid statement, and saying perhaps it could be that it's not because they don't want to be, it's because it just seems like it is this term that is trying to change the natural order of things. My manhood vis-a-vis her womanhood. She's supposed to be, Again, I go back to that clip that we played when we started this conversation. I am your leader, I am protector, I am provider, and so you owe it to me while I do not owe it to you, right? And so let's pick this up next week, Coach. And if not, we'll be here till past midnight. It is 11:43 p.m. And I am grateful to everybody who has contributed to the conversation. I promise you, if there is some aspect of it that we haven't dealt with, we will continue it next week. Accountability. Is it important for each person to be accountable to their partner? And it's been a great conversation so far. We need to let Coach M go and be accountable to his wife right now and his child.
That's right.
So we will end it here today. Thank you so much, Coach Mayzy. See you next week. See you next week.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. And don't worry, Christy, we did not forget your question. Christy said, is it fair? We will deal with all of that as well next week, but let's wrap it up here. It is the Late Night Request Show. We are well into it. Like ordinarily, by this time, I will be coming back to dial down on the show and say goodbye. And so I don't know that I can even take any song requests. I will just play one song, maybe two, and then we will call it a night for today. Remember, all the meaningful, interesting, real conversations always happen here on the Tonight Show with Somi, and I would do my best as much as possible to bring all the guests that would answer your questions. And guess what? Even if your case is so peculiar, or it's so intense, or it's so complicated or convoluted, and you're like, we can't finish this conversation today, you can send a message to myself or Coach Mayzy. Perhaps you require a counseling session, you'd like me to refer you to him, or you'd like to go to him, send me a message. It's Somi at nigeriainfo.fm. Okay, I'll take it again. Somi, that's SOMI. I spell my name every day on the show. SOMI at nigeriainfo.fm. Send me that message if you'd like a referral to Coach Mayzy, or you can just go check Coach Mayzy out all over the social media platforms. And I mean, it's the same everywhere. It's COACH, that's Coach. And then Mayzy is short for Chimezie. Let me expose him today. So Mayzy, that's Mayzy. You can find him via email, Instagram, all of that. Just go to the social media and do that. But if you didn't get it, send me an email. and we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's do this. Wrapping it up this night, starting with God, this song. Perhaps the message to some people who have a certain understanding, and I would not say it's a warped understanding. Sometimes life happens to us, and so our understanding of what marriage is and what relationships are not maybe all the way there, but you're not to blame for it. It could just be from your experiences. And so when we're talking accountability, something is going over your head. But guess what? Shai says, if I ever fall in love, right? She will be a friend. She will be all the things that I probably didn't think I could find in any other person. So take a listen to the song. It's If I Ever Fall in Love by Shai, bringing our time, I think, to about 11:50 before I shut down the show for real. Thank you. I'll be right back.
This is Nigeria Info.